Hi everyone, Susan Storm here. I'm the founder of PsychologyJunkie.com and a certified MBTI practitioner, and today we are going to be looking at ISFJ intelligence. I get a lot of questions about learning styles and the types of intelligence of the 16 personality types, including questions like which personality type is the smartest one, and my answer is always each type is intelligent, but often in different ways and with different strengths. So today we're going to dive into the ISFJ strengths specifically. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we are going to be looking at the cold, hard stats, like how well ISFJs perform when it comes to grades or standardized tests. According to the MBTI manual, page 271, and I know I bring this up all the time, if you don't have this book and you are an MBTI nerd, you absolutely need to get it. It's so full of information. But according to the MBTI manual, ISFJs tend to have above average grades in high school, the third highest grades in college, the sixth highest SAT scores among engineering students, female ISFJs ranked with the fourth highest grades among Ball University students, and males at Auburn University ranked number 4 on their ACT scores. So ISFJs are really out there performing academically on a national scale. But when it comes to standardized tests, many ISFJs struggle. Statistically, they don't tend to perform as well as certain other personality types. They are a little bit below average as far as how they perform in standardized tests. However, I'm a firm believer that this does not determine your actual intelligence. I think a lot of people stress out during standardized tests because there's a time crunch and you're not in your preferred learning environment. There's so many things that factor into that. So the reason that ISFJs tend to struggle with standardized tests is not because they're unintelligent in some way, but because really these tests seem like they're designed to give them a nervous breakdown. The MBTI manual actually explains this. ISFJs tend to be really meticulous and really careful, double and triple check their answers to make sure that they're right. So much so, this second guessing can sometimes trip them up, especially on timed tests. They don't like to rush through problems. They like to analyze every detail, which is not ideal when a ticking clock is basically mocking you in the background. And they tend to look for accuracy over speed. So if you ever see an ISFJ mid-standardized tests, they're probably experiencing an existential crisis over whether B is actually C, even though their gut was telling them B 10 minutes ago. So let's look at the types of intelligence that ISFJs have. One is crystallized intelligence, or practical intelligence. ISFJs excel at crystallized intelligence, which is the ability to apply accumulated knowledge and experience to solve problems. Unlike types who chase abstract theories and ideas for fun, ISFJs master the real-world application of knowledge. They'd rather practice a skill than debate the philosophy behind it. They tend to thrive in careers and environments where expertise, precision, and accuracy matter: healthcare, education, even engineering. As an example, an ISFJ nurse won't just memorize symptoms from a textbook. They're going to recognize subtle, real-world signs of distress in a patient before a test confirms it. Number 2, ISFJs are masters of observational and detail-oriented intelligence. ISFJs don't just see the world, they record it. They are highly perceptive, constantly gathering and categorizing facts, patterns, and nuances that others overlook. They have a phenomenal memory for details, whether it's remembering someone's birthday, a specific conversation from 5 years ago, or the exact steps to a complex process. Number 3, ISFJs are masters of interpersonal and emotional intelligence. A lot of people talk about intelligence like it's really only about SAT scores or IQ scores, but emotional intelligence is so powerful and so important, and this is an area where ISFJs really excel. ISFJs read people like a book. They notice tone, expression, micro-reactions, things that other people often miss in their hurry. They're very driven to understand what people need and to empathize with their emotions. In fact, many ISFJs I've spoken to say that they feel like they absorb other people's emotions like a sponge. So sometimes they can read other people's feelings and understand what someone else is going through before that person has even had a chance to verbalize it. This really helps them to excel in caregiving roles, therapy, teaching, diplomacy. As an example, an ISFJ teacher isn't just explaining algebra, they're watching which students look confused and don't want to raise their hands because maybe they're a little bit shy. And they're good at adjusting their approach to help their students before they even ask. ISFJs are also good at organizing information in a sequential, easy to understand way. Some types, and I'm looking even at my own type, we tend to make things more complicated because we talk in really abstract ways, or we use lots of metaphors, or maybe certain intuitive types jump around a lot. This doesn't make intuitive types bad teachers or anything like that. But ISFJ teachers are really good at using real-life examples and stories to help explain something to a person, and they're really good at organizing information in a very linear, sequential way so that people can follow along easily. While some types like to wing it, ISFJs are all about step-by-step, sequential, painstaking accuracy. They aren't reckless, they're thorough, methodical, and very systematic. They triple check everything. They verify facts. They don't make impulsive choices. If they're solving a problem, they're going to do it right, even if it takes longer. As an example, if an ISFJ is fixing a car, they're reading the manual first, not just guessing what the problem is. Okay, so how do ISFJs actually learn best? What makes them thrive? It's all about depth, details, and practical application. ISFJs learn best when there's a structured plan. Chaos is not their friend. They like to have their schedule and the specifics ahead of time. They want to know that the material they're learning is practical and useful beyond just getting a grade. They like to know that this information is not just something they are only going to need in the classroom. They want to see how it has an impact on their day-to-day present lives. They need time to process alone before publicly demonstrating their work. They don't want to be called on in class to do a presentation or answer things or react spontaneously unless they are given a heads up like the day before, like, hey, tomorrow we're going to be calling on people in class. They want to be told way ahead of time. They also thrive best when the teacher gives them clear, detailed instructions and expectations so that they know what to expect. They know exactly what the teacher is looking for. They want to be able to see and experience things. As dominant sensing types, they perform best when they actually get to use their hands, when they actually get to see, touch, smell, whatever they can do to make the experience more hands-on. That's a really helpful way to get them to absorb the information better. And the ISFJs just really need some alone time to reflect on the information. They don't want a really fast pace and a really steep learning curve. They need time to process the information, to think it over, to ponder it, and polish their understanding of it before they're expected to just move on to a new concept. ISFJs do not thrive in loud, chaotic environments where people just blurt out whatever nonsense first pops into their head. They need quiet, focused time. And something cool about ISFJs is they don't just memorize the information, they're actually really good at spotting the story behind the information. They remember the human context behind the information. History, they want to know who lived it, not just the bullet points. Science, they want to know how it helps people, not just the formula. They're wired for interpersonal intelligence, meaning they're smart and compassionate. So now let's look at some famous ISFJs in history who really used their intelligence in powerful and meaningful ways. Let's start with Jimmy Carter. He was a nuclear physicist who turned into a U.S. president. No big deal, just casually solving international conflicts while maintaining actual moral integrity. Also, he basically invented Habitat for Humanity as a global movement. Next, let's look at Mitt Romney. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, we can all appreciate some of the things he really did that were really impactful and meaningful. He worked to bring about the Ember Act, which modernized wildfire prevention and management across the country, as well as the Match Act, which accelerated aid and cleanup for communities affected by wildfire, and the Great Salt Lake Recovery Act, which helped engineers study more effectively so that the lake could be restored after it had reached record low levels. He also combated international threats using his skills of diplomacy. Again, you see some of that interpersonal intelligence come into play. And next we can look at Kate Middleton, Grace under pressure personified. She is constantly under public scrutiny and has to work really hard not to break composure. She's managed to balance diplomacy and relatability, which is an art form in itself. She's done a lot of work to enhance people's understanding of early childhood, launching the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood. She has also championed issues relating to children's mental health and has brought wider awareness to the issue of children dealing with addiction, poverty, abuse, neglect. She even hosted a forum for young people called Exploring Our Emotional Worlds, which brought together over 100 young delegates to start a conversation about emotional health and mental health. So let's recap. ISFJs are highly intelligent, especially when it comes to structured learning, real-world application, and deep processing. They can struggle with a really fast-paced or high-pressured standardized tests, but that's not a reflection of their actual ability, and they tend to get above-average grades. They learn best when they're given clear expectations, structured guidance, and time to reflect. Their intelligence isn't just technical, it's interpersonal, practical, and deeply rooted in memory and observation. I hope you are curious about ISFJs. They're such an incredible type in our world. If you are an ISFJ, thank you for all that you do. Your powers of perception, the way you take care of people and preserve your communities, these things all make a big difference in our world and make it a better place. If you'd like to find out more about ISFJs, be sure to check out my website at psychologyjunkie.com, where I have over 1,000 articles about the 16 personality types. I also have an ebook that's going to be coming out soon called The ISFJ Understanding the Protector. Sign up for my email list if you want to be notified about that. And like and subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.